Have you ever wanted to play an RPG where you can play a guy blatantly inspired by Spider-Man in the same group as someone playing Thor as a mechanic and another player character with the superpowers of Humpty Dumpty, and have it play out like a comic book or a TV show instead of having it segmented into real-time conversations and 6-hour fights? Well, this game is my favorite of all time. In this RPG, you play as average people struggling in a massive city that's always working against you. You know, like Cyberpunk, but your choices actually affect the game. The major trick in City of Mist is the mist itself. This looming canopy hangs over every district, from the overcrowded neon forests of downtown to the dungeon-like subway stations. The game works on core mysteries, and the mist is this enigmatic force that governs everything. The mist grants people mysterious powers called mythoi, and these mythoi can come from literally any story you could ever think of. They're all fairy tales, history, ancient forces, and comic books that want to retell themselves, with you as their avatar. So in the City of Mist, you can be a plumber with the mythos of Mario, or a high school student with actually just Star Platinum. And just like Star Platinum, the mist hides your powers from onlookers who don't understand what's going on. A fire mage can be mistaken as a gas explosion, or a conjured hellhound can just look like a big Doberman. The game has a lot of examples of people already in the city with these powers, like a mafia kingpin with the mythos of Hades, or a drug addict from out of town with the mythos of Alice in Wonderland. It's such a fantastic concept because it lets you find new meanings in stories by retelling them through a grim, modern reality. I played a game with friends where I was a political official with the growing powers of Odin. At the end of the game, I lost my seat in office and decided to fully embrace being Odin. And then I duked it out with the avatar of an eldritch god who ran a burger chain. I don't want to play any other games now. I also played a guy with several part-time jobs who had the mythos of primordial ink, but that was just kind of a self-insert. The cool thing about character creation is that you get 4 character sheets, or theme books. That's because each character can choose how much they let this mythos control their lives. Because you also have logos, things that tie you to the real world, you know, who you actually are outside of the story. Stuff like jobs, relationships, belongings, a traumatic event, a mission, and so on. Your mortal coils. So your degree of being a myth goes in order. Sleepers, who can't see through the mist. The touched, those who have been chosen by the mist to carry out a myth. Borderliners, who walk the line between reality and stories. Legendaries, who are extremely powerful beings overcome by their myths. And avatars, who are people who live only to carry out what their myth wants. Those things are world-shattering. And the ones that exist in the city control entire operations. Another one of my favorite things about this system is that your character can fluctuate as they progress, gaining more mythos as their ties to reality crack, or returning to reality as their mythos fades. It really depends on what you pay attention to in your everyday going-ons. The game has integrated a sort of progress based on failure, and I think that's really encouraging. When you're actually playing City of Mist, you'll find that it's broken into different types of segments that you might not be used to. Most often, it's meant to be like a sort of superhero noir, where you investigate a case and then duke it out with Rumpelstiltskin, who has a Tommy gun for some reason. It starts with a scene-setting monologue by the MC, or Master of Ceremonies, who's just the game master. Sometimes you can even introduce the game with a bit of foreshadowing, where you cinematically describe 2 gangsters dumping a body into the ocean, and then smash cut to the players in a diner. As the MC, you have a few responsibilities. The Master of Ceremonies guide has principles that I use in every game I run from now on, and I suggest buying it just for story writing direction. First, you're the writer of each case. It has a guide for doing this with mysteries, namely the iceberg structure. Second, you're the referee. It's a rules-light system, but it's important to know what actions might ruin the fun or break the immersion and avoid letting them happen. Third, you're the host. Essentially, you delegate equal attention to each player, making sure that nobody hogs the spotlight. And fourth, you're the narrator. I still don't know how to describe scenes very well, but this entails doing that and instigating complications. Fifth, and most important, you are the character's biggest fan. You make a problem and then watch these amazing writers at your table solve it by telling heroic stories, and you get to enjoy everything that they do. That's it. You don't need to worry about control. And this is the biggest relief ever, because the players have to describe everything else. It's so freeing for everyone, because the players get the control of both their good rolls and their bad rolls, and what they interact with and how their powers work. The players will trade spotlights as they play through scenes and cutscenes, taking actions or changing the story. And they do this by using things called power tags. For each mythos category, like adaption, mobility, or divination, and each logos like a possession, your personality, and your relationships, you get a few powerful taglines that can apply to certain situations. These can be anything, but the MC needs to make sure that their vague nature is balanced. So for example, let's say with the subversion mythos that hides or changes perception. The power tag memory wipe works well in stealthy situations but shouldn't apply to investigation roles. Also, always ban the power tag jack of all trades. That shit's too vague. Anyways, you use these tags when you make a move. The game has a set list of core moves that apply to anything. Convincing, facing danger, going toe to toe, hitting with all you've got, investigating, sneaking around, and taking a risk. It's a very narrative game. You also have cinema moves, like flashbacks and montages that give you one-time bonuses. Montages are awesome. Each player just takes a minute to describe cool stuff. Say you're in a fight with some giant rat in a sewer, and it spits acid at you. You have to face danger and add up applicable power tags. If you've got some ancient shield artifact, a history in gymnastics, and tough skin, you get a cumulative +3. Then you roll 2d6, add everything together, and pass or fail. A 7 to 9 is average, which is a partial success. So let's say you get that, and the rat's attack ends up being half as effective as it normally would be. Which brings me to another detail. Conditions. Instead of a diverse network of constant conditions, you just have a card and a power scale of 1 to 5. If a rat's attack normally inflicts a skin melting condition of -2, and you half block it, you just get like a first degree burn with a -1. I feel stupid saying it, but contradictions are the only truth in my world anymore, so I'll say that this game is complicated only because it isn't. The freedom to make anything happen means that anything can happen, so you have to account for it. Games can be single investigations, but it's designed so you can enjoy your stories in the same way as current media, spanning episodes, chapters, issues, seasons, and even volumes. And once you finish a session, you geek out during the credits of your own story. This, which might I remind you is a mechanic, lets you congratulate other players on the cool stuff that they do, which builds morale and makes the experience of City of Mist that much better. My friend Jordan, who plays Kurt Savory on Arcane Arcade and Evenfall, introduced me to this game. I've talked about it a couple of times, and then the creator of the game reached out to me. So I'll be making a couple of videos here and there about the game because I love it, and I'm also writing my own case supplement that has mythoi like the Wild Hunt, MIMIR, and Pandora's Box called Forged and Framed. I'm kinda jealous of myself, but anyway, the game is fantastic. I'll link their site below for you to check out, and let me know what you think about the game, or the video. It's a new year, which doesn't mean anything in reality, but it helps us try new things. If you really like the idea, and if enough of you want it, I might do a short series on Tall Tales in a more serious tone and showcase this game with the boys. I also have neat merch that some of you guys designed, and I'm writing another 5e supplement called Twisted Taverns, and I'm trying to stress less. So have a good one.